people I know and people I don't know. And I'm really excited to have you. How are you, Jack?
I'm doing great.
Good. I'm
Happy
sure
to.
you're excited about this is obviously a hot topic all the time. We always hope, you know what? I would argue to say that there's probably somewhere in the country always a land hot market. But what's happening now in our world, whether you're in land, like we are primarily, we do a lot of other property types as well, by the way. We'll talk more about that. But where we are in land, it couldn't be hotter. And so many things are going on now. It's just hot, so many hot markets. We all know that. And I'm sure that you're either in this room and killing it, or you're in this room because you know someone who's killing it and you want to get in on this. And I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
great.
a great point, Jill. I mean, you're here because you know it's hot.
Hmm. Exactly. And you want to fine tune it. Yeah,
Hmm.
you can't turn on the TV without knowing that there's stuff happening in real estate in crazy proportions right now. So I'm excited to talk about this today and answer questions. So I'm going to back up and just give a few quick little introductions. I'm going to let me need to add some moderators so my moderators can help me bring people up on the stage. So there we go. Aaron, you should be able to, um, I think you should be able to if you want to. Cool. So, let me back up. I am Jill DeWitt, if you don't know me, and I'm here with my partner, Stephen Jack Butala,
Hello.
and we are Land Academy and House Academy. We have been buying and selling. Well, when I say we, I mean Stephen started doing this back in the 90s. I came along in 2009, and this is our world. And this is, as you know, for decades, um, this is our thing, buying and selling rural vacant land. And I like to think we perfected it. If not, we will eventually or die trying, right? So we have close to 16,000 deals under our belts. And now we are here to share it with other people because we really do believe there's enough land to go around and property to go around. What is there? 1.5 billion,
No,
Jack?
in this country, there's 150 million pieces of real estate.
There we go. Okay, so I made billion, I meant million, but I think there's still enough.
Yeah.
We know and have proven that if man, especially in our world. I mean, even if you're doing houses, I'm pretty sure if you perfected flipping houses in Dallas, Texas, you could spend your whole career in Dallas, Texas and
Oh,
never need to
geez,
branch
sure.
out.
Absolutely.
Yep. So there's just so much that you can, there's enough properties, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that you could benefit from. No matter how big your company is, you can't take, no one person can take them all down. Some have maybe tried, but I don't think they can. But I want to, so that's our whole thing. And, feel free to follow us. You can see our bios and tell more and find out more about our companies and all that good stuff. But more importantly, today is I want to talk about finding hot markets. So our focus is land. So even if you're not doing land like we do, you're doing other property types, you're going to get something out of this today. And how do I know? Well, this is what we do, by the way. We are nuts. I'm here to tell you. We live, eat, and breathe real estate of all property types. Again, my number one thing, just because it's so darn easy and I just love it, and the numbers and the percentages we can do with land are like no other property type. It's my favorite. But we are all in, and we certainly do other property types, whether it's houses or mobiles or commercial. We're in it. Jack has owned an office building. Not dying to do that again, are you
Nope.
though?
No, I'm done
Okay.
with that.
Okay, good. But we can for most things say been there, done that, and that's again why we're here. We want to help you and answer questions and help you get ahead. So today's topic is land hot markets. So, like I said, we live, breathe, and whatever, eat this stuff all day long. We get in the car, we can't get a mile from our house from one of us saying, "Hey, will you please look that one up and see what they listed it for?" And if you have the same, I don't want to say illness, condition, I'm going to say, that we do, we feel it. You're in the right place. This is a safe space that you could talk about this because I'm sure you probably drive other people in your life nuts. I can't imagine how many people are like they're probably teaching their kids on their phones. Hey, kids, since you're on your phone anyway, quickly get on Zillow for me and tell me what that house is going for.
That's a good little lesson. I don't know why we didn't think of that. I guess the kids were too little, and
Mm-hmm.
the internet just wasn't what is now.
Mm-hmm. We do that with number three a little bit. We make him as we're driving. We use the hey, I can't do this. I'm driving. Look this up. Usually it's restaurants or directions or something, but
Hmm.
you could do it with real estate. So we are in it. We know it, and it's funny because areas that you think you get little twinges. That's kind of where it starts. So we're all in it, and you get indications of, huh, I keep reading about this Austin place, or dream it up. This area outside of Chicago, or maybe we live in Arizona, and but we venture out to Colorado, and we're always in California, and we go to New Mexico, depending where we're going. We might be heading north, hitting into Tahoe area, Nevada. We were heading to Idaho, I don't remember when that was, but you get little things like, oh, I think I need to spend a little more time on that. So this is where it starts. You're trying to figure out hot markets. You probably have some indication on your own that tells you that, I might need to make a move here. I might need to start paying attention to this area. There seems to be a lot of talk about it. Maybe it's even on Clubhouse, by the way. I'm constantly getting into other Clubhouse groups that are usually real estate focused, but it's property types that I'm not necessarily in, like construction, but I'm going to get something out of it. I'm listening to people in construction forums and the things they have to go through,
Oh,
but I'm
geez.
picking up on markets, right? Oh my gosh, I know. The things that they have to deal with are amazing. It really makes my life look really easy. And I don't mean just my personal life. So I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, Jack.
No, it's okay.
Okay, good.
I fit really well under the bus.
Okay, good. But so you pick up on things. So then what do you do with that information? Where do you go and recon? And so I want to talk about that. I'm going to share what we do. And I'd love to have a wonderful open conversation here. Anybody who wants to jump in, raise your hand. Love to hear where you take it to the next level. And then what level you take it to past that. So, Jack, I'm gonna start with you. So because this is you're where it starts. I'm gonna be honest. In our business, Jack and I are personal partners and business partners. And some days it's great, and some days it's difficult.
Wouldn't recommend it.
Exactly. Slash, however,
We
we
made it
figured
work.
that out.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's no way you can be co-CEOs. You have to divide things up. But the front end research of all of this really starts with Jack. I throw him things. I give him ideas. I ask him to put things in there when we're, reaching out to sellers. I'm like, hey, humor me. When you're doing this, will you please make sure that this area is included? Because I got a good feeling about it. But it's really all you. So will you please tell us once you have that twinge, or if you want to add more to what goes on in the twinge, you know, what's the very first thing that you do? Your level one, picking an area for a hot, place to reach sellers.
Well, I think you could take it a couple steps back from that and ask yourself, do we even want a hot market?
Ah,
Do you want to buy and sell a property in a hot market?
good point.
If you turn on any news feed about real estate, whether it's on the internet or on video or anywhere where you get news about that, the first thing that's going to smack in your face over and over and over again is this real estate market sucks. You can't buy a house. This is
Right.
terrible. When is this going to become affordable? So the people that write, the journalists that write those articles, what they're referring to in the simplest terms are there's not as much inventory as everybody's used to, and the logical consequence of that is there's a lot more inventory on the there's a lot more demand than there is supply, so that drives prices up. So is that good for us as investors? And the answer is heck yes. Our job in life is to find real estate. In our life, it's land that's undervalued in its current situation, both just in the current market. That's it. In a hot market, you enjoy selling it very quickly. In a slower market, you have to pay a little bit less to compensate for the time that it takes to sell. So you can always buy and sell land effectively, whether in a real off market or a real on market like you are now. So the real question is it better when it's hot or is it better when it's not? And I would argue they're equal. You just have to, how much you should be paying on the buy side, you have to adjust to how fast you think you're going to sell it. So
You know
now
what's
we got
funny
that out of
about
the
that?
way. And I love hot markets because that's what we do. We're in the business of buying undervalued property.
You know, I was going to add what's funny about that. Like, we've changed a little bit how we price things to sell because, things are moving quickly and there's just more demand. So we used to double our money and get out and just know that, we could have got more for it. Who cares? But now we're like, maybe we don't want to do that. I certainly don't have to do that. I can afford to sit on a property for 90 days. And if I'm going to make 3 times as much, yeah, I'll do that. But what's funny is these markets are getting hotter on accident sometimes that, they're gaining momentum in escrow. The prices are going up before I even own the thing. And then I own it. We own it. And then we go to list it for sale. And it's so funny because it's either Jack or I that, depending on the deal, who's kind of saying, here's what I think how it should play out. And Jack will have a price on the ones he's really vested in. He found them or whatever. They came to him. And so I usually do let me back up. I always do what you ask, Jack. But what happens is
Oh,
sometimes
that's
they sell so
hilarious.
fast, you're like looking at me like, what did you do? I'm like, I didn't mean to do that. That's what's happening right now. There's some properties out there. I think I priced them pretty well. I'm not trying to reset the market because that's just dumb. But I'm trying to sell them where this is more than I would normally, you know, mark up on this property, but it's such a good area. I'm going to price it like this and I'm going to sit back and wait and the right guy's going to come along. And then what happens is it sells over the weekend. I'm like, doggone it.
What it's forced us to do is really as we always do, take a look, a couple steps back again and look at our
Mm-hmm.
business model. And our business model forever has been buy property for $20,000, $30,000 and sell it for double.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. Sometimes you sell it for a little bit shorter because it takes, it's longer to sell it. And that was our line of business. That was number one. We had one bucket. Well, now we have three in response to these hot markets. The first
Yeah.
bucket is double your money, and that's the kind of the bread and butter for Land Academy and for Jill and I in our land business. Well, we devised because it's hot market the second bucket, and the second bucket is exactly what Jill's talking about. It's like, you know what? Hold on, let's shoot a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
Let's buy for 30 or 40 in some properties that I know if we wait just a little bit longer, we can sell for 80 or $90,000. And so, and we're conquering that, and it's actually going fairly well. Jill's literally addicted to selling real estate. Like
Yep.
people are addicted to smoking cigarettes
Yep.
and God knows what else. And so she innately wants to sell it fast and cheap.
Well, I don't know
Which
about the
I
cheap,
could.
but the
By the way, I
fast.
couldn't design a better business partner for me. But the fact is, if we just shoot a little higher on the sell side on some of the deals that we think are bucket one property and turn them into bucket two property and literally wait 2 or 3 weeks more and get 3 times what we paid instead of two, it's worth it. So we've devised a new line or product line for us. This only can happen theoretically in a real hot market because there's just such demand for land,
Right.
which led us to a third bucket where we buy property now intentionally. We send out direct mail offer campaigns to buy property that we can either minor split or it's specifically zoned and we market it a different way. It's special use property. Maybe it's good for mobile homes. Maybe it's specifically zoned for a mobile home park or an RV park. And you can get the data on that and do these little micro mailers and pay a ton of money. You can afford to usually we send out offers at 25 to 35% of retail value.
Right.
Well, it makes sense on specialty use bucket 3 property to send it out at 70 or 80% because you know that whatever you're going to do for it or how you're going to market it, mobile homes, perfect place for a mobile home, and it's all pre-zoned or whatever that specialty use yields, the zoning yields on that, you know you can sell it for a lot more. And so these
Exactly.
hot markets, when you find them, and I'll explain if Joe wants me to in a few minutes on how you find these hot markets, really can expand your existing operation.
Yep. So let's talk about the level one. We got the thing. What please share with the planet or this room. your we all know what's happening, so what do you do what's your next step to confirm it's a hot market?
Well, in the easiest, most simple terms, uh, Google Redfin data, and you're going to see all these colorful graphs. It's not Redfin itself. It's an entirely different website with different people who work there, and the whole thing's free. And what it allows you to do is compare market statistics against each other. And in most zip codes where these markets are hot, are covered by Redfin because they're relatively urban areas or adjacent to urban areas, and you can compare days on market. You know, Jill and I teach a class called Career Path right now, and it's an in-depth dive to the stuff that we talk about in public like this. And we took a deep dive into a sort of urban area in Texas, and we're seeing days on market there in the teens, which I've never seen in my career. Meaning, you list a property, there's days that happen, like days that go by, and it's sold and off the market. So when there's hot markets like that, look, if you went to Alaska and looked at for days on market, if you can find that data, which you sure can, the days on market there are still going to be in the hundreds because that's just the nature of it. That's
Right.
not the hottest market there ever was. So finding what markets are hot for at what price points is very easy. It's time consuming, but it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would start with Redfin data.
I love it. And then will you share, and again, anyone raise your hand. I'd love to ask questions and have a dialogue, about what we're talking about here. If you've got, depending on what properties you're searching for or whatever ways you are, you know, taking it to the next level and confirming what you think before you act on it, which is smart, I think. Don't just want to start, running around and trying to find sellers without confirming everything. Love to hear how you do it also. So please jump in here. Anyone, just raise your hand. We'll bring you on up here. So I love that. Will you share? I I you're the data. You're clearly the data person in this our world. We got that. If you don't know us, let me tell you, he's data. I'm talking. I'm the salesperson. Here's the whole thing and how we're successful. All he has to do is make my phone ring, and that's it. So, and he knows that. So he
What a
uses
luxury.
all this data. Say it
What a
again.
luxury for a data person, by the way.
Thank you. I don't care whether it's on the buy side or the sell side. Just get my phone ringing. I will get the deals out of these people, period. So we don't cold call. We don't go out. We don't do that. They call us. So, but then I was going to say, my first thoughts when I was thinking today and thinking about this topic, I actually was skipped right over that part because that's all you. I skipped over to the quick review of like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, because that's what I use when I'm doing due diligence on a property and trying to see if it's a good area, which should also be, it could be used after the fact or before the fact. Do you want to expand a little bit on the, you know,
With the use of
using
Redfin and
sold?
Zillow and things like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy. We call it trolling in our office, but it's very easy to set parameters in Zillow or realtor.com or anything and say, you know what? I would like to find out in what market can I find property that I can buy for 30 and sell for 60 or 70. And for that, you need to set your parameters in Zillow while you're just kind of picture yourself going across the country looking for properties that are for sale or sold, specifically in Zillow because it's so easy to do. The interface is so easy to use. Find where there's a lot of properties that are selling or for sale in the 80 or 90 or $100,000 range. And once you find a few good solid clusters or markets that look like there's properties selling there, you can take a real deep dive and do what we call a red, green, yellow test. And it's impossible to really show you how to do this in this because this is audio only. Look at whether or not properties are actually really selling. We call it the red, green, yellow test and dig down to the zip code level and see what's sold, what's active, how many are properties, what's the days on market for properties that have been sold, how many are actually listed compared to that are new listings versus sold listings in any given month. So it's all a data-driven scenario that is based off of, well, Jill called it a hunch in the beginning. So I guess you can start with a hunch, but then it really needs to be verified and re-verified and tested through data.
I agree. And I want to back up and point out too, this works for all property types. What my whole point today was there's so many, there's so much, we have so much access to free data, and I don't see people using it. That's what I want to talk about. If you don't take a moment to do your homework ahead of time and confirm your days on market and put areas against each other, because we all walk in thinking, oh, I know exactly what this buyer wants. I know exactly what this, and this, and we're not always right, but the data is right. So it doesn't. I don't know. What percentage of the time? This is a good one. All right, I got to ask you this, Jack. What percentage of the time are you off on what you think? Like you're picking an area, this is where we're going to start targeting. Here's our focus. You have the reasons why. And now you're looking around the area that has 10 zip codes. You know this, the whole whatever, because you know what's coming into that area, right? You got to. And you put the zip codes together and you go, oh, I guess I should be on the north side of the area, not the south side. I thought the south was where everybody wanted to be, you know, because of the data.
100% of the time.
Oh, wait,
I,
wait, that
I
you're right or you're wrong?
I'm wrong.
Oh,
And let me phrase it another way. I'm not
this
ever
is good.
wrong.
I
I
know.
always I have a hunch. That's stage one.
Mm-hmm.
I go out and troll for it, try to
Mm-hmm.
find out, and then the data shows me that, oh, wait a minute, this county, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
might be a good place to do this. So what I'll do is break down the county in zip codes. I'll pit the zip codes against each other, and it's going to tell me then what zip codes that I really need to be mailed. There's always two or three or four or five in a county that rise right to the top, and it says you got to mail here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I'm wrong or right. It's just I don't have I just let the data tell me what to do.
It points you in the right direction. Well, and like I just know so many people that they're not like I love what you're just saying too about setting the parameters. That's a huge thing. It doesn't matter if you're doing houses or land or, commercial, whatever. You're on LoopNet. You can set parameters and take an air, a 30,000-foot view of a city and see where the properties are selling in the range you want to sell. So then you can back into it like, huh, all right. then this is a range I need to buy. And then, of course, you take it the step further, like now I'm going to start digging in the days on market and pitting the areas. Now I figure that out and figure this out. So then it's like ding, ding.
I think some people listen to us talk, Joe, whether it's on the podcast or wherever on Clubhouse here, and they say to themselves, "Well, that's great. You guys have been doing this since the '90s. I mean, of course you're going to do it right." So I just got along those lines. There's a guy in Career Path. We have a section in Discord for all of our Land Academy members and a special subsection for people that are in the current career path so we can all talk to each other. So we can help them and they can give us feedback. And one of the little subsections is success stories. And so this guy in Career Path posts this thing today. We've been chatting back and forth on it. He said, well, now that I'm in Career Path, I know how to do this right. And up till now, I've been doing this all wrong. And here's what happened. He said, found a market. It was extremely hot. He found out later how to figure that all out because we talked about it last week on Career Path or in Career Path. And he said, I sent out 4,500 mailers. I sent them out at 10% of what the market value is.
Holy
so,
cow.
What we and I try to teach is in a hot market, you got to send them out at about 70% to get a few deals. And he said, even though that happened, I bought a property for $5,000 and sold it the next day for $18,000. And he said, and I'm meeting the guy for a beer later because we had a great transaction. So I want to stress this. I really want to stress this point.
Wow.
This is regular stuff for Jill and I on a day-to-day basis. She's right. We obsess on it. We teach it. We do it. We enjoy the fruits of it all. But you can do stuff way cockeyed wrong, like this guy did, and still make some money. It's not that scientific once you get the basic stuff under your belt.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm going to add, just so if anybody who's listening here is a little confused, I'm going to finish the piece of the puzzle here because you're like, all right, this is great. I know we all know what's happening. Now we know how you guys find them and how you really, dig deep to make sure it's the right place that you want to buy property and invest in. Basically, we are investors, first and foremost. That's our thing. And I'm not a wholesaler, by the way. We buy these properties. I'm going to back up and say that too. We find areas, we pick out the properties we like, and if we're going to act on the deal, we buy it. We don't get it under contract and shop it around or anything like that. Our name goes on the deed, and then I sell it as fast or not as fast as I can. I'm retraining myself. I'm selling it at the way that makes the most sense to get the best price. Is that better, Jack?
It's we're getting there, Joe.
Okay, thank you. I'm in a program for this, and I'm trying to change.
That'd be funny.
Exactly.
If we had land addictions, like I don't know, that'd be really funny if we had a Zoom call for people that are addicted to selling property.
Yeah, exactly. Where are you in the 10-step land selling addictive program? Oh my God, I'm still on step 1. So, that would be funny. I'll have to think about that. That'd be a fun blog to write. Like, what would be the steps in the process? Like, number 1, identify all the money that you should have made if you held out for 10 more minutes.
Well, I think they would be fun until somebody says, I'm actually in AA.
Well, that's true.
I have been for 30 years, and it's just not that funny.
I understand. Thank you. You are right. But I wanted to share with anyone listening here who doesn't know who we are and what we do at the next thing. Once we figure this all out, and how Jack makes my phone ring is by, and this is a whole nother show. I'm just giving you the 30 seconds here, is he digs in, gets the data, and it's direct from assessor data. And we have a whole direct mail campaign that we send out to the sellers of the properties that we want at the prices that we want, and wait for them to come back. So after we've done it all this stuff that we're talking about, Mr. Seller in that county, in that zip, or whatever, whatever it is that we're going for, he's going to get a letter in the mail from us with a dollar amount. And he's going to either call me or sign it and send it back, or whatever. There's, a couple ways. So that's really how it goes. Sometimes they call happy. They're all excited. Sometimes they're not so happy, but that's my job. That's what I said. His job is just to make my phone ring. And if there's a deal there, I'll get it. I will get it out of that person. Um, and that's what we do. So please raise your hand, join in. Brooklyn, did you want to say anything? You're not muted. I don't know if that was intentional or accident, but if you want to, you can jump in too, Brooklyn, if you want to say something. Or if anybody has any thoughts or comments or questions. I mean, you can even ask us about, you know, more about our whole business model if you want to ask us about that. You could even ask us about partnering with your spouse because that's a little hard and nutty. Oh, thank you, Luke. Luke is going to come on up here and ask a question. You should get a little invite there, Luke, that I asked you on the stage. So if you just accept it, there you go. Hey, how are you?
Hi. So I'm coming into land investing historically from as a flipper and a wholesaler. What I'm having a little bit of a problem is getting past the sort of scarcity mindset, and I just wonder if you might be able to talk to that. I kind of look at, there's only 3,000 counties in the United States, and yeah, and I know it's kind of stupid, but maybe kind of talk through the psychology of that, if you could, please.
I'd be happy to answer, Jill. So,
Mhm.
in general, this is just a gauge or a number that we use for every 2,500 mailers you're going to send out. You're going to buy property. And if you do it correctly, I'm going to just do the basic math for you. The numbers for us are way lower than that. Let's call it mailer yield. You're going to buy a property that probably the average is buy it for 30, sell it for 60. So you have $30,000 or $40,000 that you'll net, and the transaction should take you maybe 45 days, maybe 30 days now, because everything's just so moving so quickly. So now you're making $30,000 or $40,000 doing one deal a month, and that, once you're up and running, I'm not exaggerating, won't take it 8 hours combined of work. So if you can do a deal like that, just one deal every month, now you're making $500,000 a year. So scarcity and competition just doesn't exist. There's every once in a while, every week, somebody says, "Look, I sent all this mail out," and the seller said, "Oh, that's great. I just got 3 offers from somebody else." And then everybody else piles in on Discord and says, "I don't understand that because we own property everywhere, and I never get an offer." So there's always those naysayers, always. So I don't think there's scarcity in any way. I think there's 80 or 90 million vacant properties in the country that are purchasable.
Thank you. That's been very helpful.
I mean, that question is, Luke, how much money do you want to make? Is $500,000 or 600,000 a year enough?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Good question.
Because I'll tell you honestly, it's not for me.
There you go. Then Luke, you need to find 12. You need to do 12 a year. Can you do that? Yeah.
It's not that. I guess I'm not trying to brag, but I've been very successful as a flipper. But it just as what you had mentioned earlier in talking, that the woes of the construction and the whole process. I mean, I had to invest $100,000 just to make 20 or 25. So, anyway, so I get it. I just, sometimes it's just hard, to think through, that process. Just a different mindset with a different asset category. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand completely.
You're not
Every week or
nuts.
so, I get a private message in Discord or on the email that says from somebody who's a former. Well, what the message is this: is that it? We just closed a deal. We made $35,000. Really? Did I just get lucky, or can we repeat this? And I always know that person's like a recovering house flipper. That they feel almost guilty that it was so easy and that they didn't have to pull their hair out.
thank you, everyone.
Yep.
Welcome. That's a really good point. You know what's funny about that too? Remember, Jack, because we had that conversation years ago before we started Land Academy kind of officially in 2015. And before we launched Land Academy, we had to sit down and say, okay, are we shooting ourselves in the foot? This is exactly what you're talking about, Luke. Like, if we teach the planet our business secrets, and how we find and sell land, are we creating competition for ourselves? Are we nuts? And then we did the math and had this talks, and we're like, oh my gosh, there's no way we could do with the amount of properties that's out there. There's just no way that we could do it. I started off today talking about a little bit about, I quickly realized I could stay in one county. Like we one time were doing, it was very specific, multi-tenant mailer in LA County, and we sent one mailer of 25,000 units. I personally took the phone calls myself. Got so much juice, right? And I, really took a step back and go, we could end our career in just this one county, never move. And so there's so many different niches when you really dig into it too, Luke, and you see rural vacant land, and then is it agricultural? Is it recreational? Is it commercial? Okay, there's so many different niches there. And then you think about, are you doing infill lots? Are you less than an acre? Are you doing, you know, 5, 10 acres? Are you going for big ranches? I mean, we we love having a little bit of everything. That's how we roll. I have a Santa Barbara County 500-acre property right now, and I have little awesome waterfront infill lots in another part of the country. So I never worry about that, but I totally understand it, and I remember us talking about that too. You're not
Sure.
nuts.
When I started along these lines, I had all the same questions and concerns that
Hmm.
people starting, 30 years later have, and they're valid and they're logical.
Hmm.
For instance, I did there was one county that I focused on right when I started. This is long before I figured out sending direct mail is really efficient. So I'd go to tax auctions and I would cold call and cold fax. That's how long ago this was. Fax, FAX, real estate agents, because you could get that data set. You could get everybody's, it was just public information because back then to do a real estate deal, everybody was faxing contracts back and forth. This is before email really kicked in. And so I would tap fax or contact all the real estate agents. I would go to the tax auction. Half a year would go by and I would say, you know what, that's it. I bought all the undervalued property in the county and it's over. I'm never going back there again. I'm going to move on to the next county. And that was one of the silliest things ever because we still mail and remail counties, like sometimes back to back a month later, and get multiple deals out of it. So it's all timing, and you're catching somebody who's opening the mail and saying, you know what,
Hmm.
last month I didn't want to sell it. This month I got the tax bill. I'm never going to use this property. I'm selling it.
That's the funny thing. And Michael Balcom, I just invited you up on stage here too. I'd love to talk to you. But you're right, that's the whole thing. You, this person, I actually love it. I have done many deals where I know they said, you know what, I got 3 offers, I threw them all away, and now I lost my job or something. My car broke down. I need the money. And now my offer shows up. Those other, maybe not three, but who knows. The one they got before that they laughed at warmed them up to the idea. And here comes my offer. And then the secret sauce is how you work with them. And that's where I come in. Jack gets the mail out. It hits him at the right time. They get me or my staff that is trained by me. They fall in love with us. They want to sell to us. And there we go. And we make it easy. That's a lot of it too. So, all right, Michael Balcom, you should have a little popping up there. Oh, you're in Jalen. Jalen too. I'm gonna invite
I
you guys
think
up.
that we're having Clubhouse technical difficulties today.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. All right.
If you're trying to get moved up, we apologize because something's going on.
Yeah. All right, Jalen, I got you up here. How are you?
Good, good. How are you guys today?
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I've been following you guys for a while, and I decided to make the jump into land a few months ago after struggling with wholesaling. I came across, I was given a lead by one of my buddies, and it's looks like a development deal. Obviously, I've never dealt with anything like this. If I was looking up the comps in the area and the prices look justifiable, I wanted to know what would be my next step in order to see this deal through. Because I don't know how to analyze it.
Well, I'll tell you, development deals are that's probably sophomore year in college, and if you're newer in the newer in the land business, you might be in fourth grade. So
Yeah.
I think that you would be doing yourself a huge favor if you just go through the education that we go through and make sure that you're doing the same types of deals over and over again. Like, I'll never forget, somebody sent me a marina that was for sale in a part of the country. This is like a lot of years ago. I wasted a year trying to figure out how to get this marina deal done. And the whole year I could have been doing, I could have done 40, 50, 80 regular, bucket one land academy deals. This is long before land academy. So development is just, there's a lot of people in the world that are great at it and they have the stomach for it. I'm certainly not one of them. And I would hate for you to find out a year later, after you could have been doing all these regular land deals, sending out offers, buying property for 20 or 30,000 bucks, selling it for 60 or 70, you get 10 or 15 deals done, just like clockwork. And now you got yourself all educated, and you're ready for the next year to double that. So
Can I add to that
I wouldn't
too?
even take a development deal on right now at all.
Well, I picked on one thing that Jalen said too, that I have to give him a little, my spidey sense went up here when I think you said my friend brought me this deal. I've never had one of those work out. Is that what happened?
Yes. I mean, he's still in houses, and he was cold calling and came across this, and that's kind of how it worked out. So yes.
Never had that work out in my favor.
Me too.
Honestly, every time anyone brings me anything, I said, that's nice. Why aren't you doing the deal? If you're bringing it to me, I always look at it like somebody else got there first. It's like the same reason I don't buy property through an agent, because now somebody else is involved in the middle. I'm not going to get the best price. There's going to be commissions and people are involved. I want to deal directly with the seller and make it, easy and the most profitable for both of us.
That's fair. That's fair.
And you
And
want to be yeah, go ahead.
what? um, didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. But definitely, I understand what you're saying, but he completely, like I said, he doesn't deal with land. My from my understanding, what I was looking at it as, I was gonna trying to either wholesale it or because she has like 30 properties that she wants to get rid of, and like one of them is like a strip in Kissimmee. So it's like I understand what you're saying, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But like I thought my thought process when I first saw it, I'm like, well, if it's 30, there's like 20 plus properties here. There's something that I could wholesale, I don't know, because Semi's a big area. I kind of started looking at the market and stuff. But what you guys are saying makes so I
I think
understand.
it's really important to really have a real serious conversation with yourself about what your acquisition criteria is long before you
Mm-hmm.
look at any deal. And your acquisition criteria might be 1 to 5 acre properties that I can buy in fill in the blank county for fill in the blank, let's say 30,000, when my target price is 60,000, and they're actively buying and selling relatively quickly at 90,000. So now I have some version of an acquisition criteria in air quotes. Now I'm going to go out and find property that fits my acquisition criteria. And what's happening here is that you don't have one yet, and you're minutes away of having one if you want one. But
Hmm.
somebody's throwing a deal at you, and you don't. You're saying from an opportunistic standpoint, which I really respect, by the way. Let's see if we can make this work. And now you start down this path of round peg square hole. So I would take a few steps back and say, no, I want to buy 30, sell for 60. Even if a property comes in that I think I can make some money on, it's just not my acquisition criteria. I'm going to send offers out directly to sellers that fit my criteria, and I'm going to collect the ones that respond positively.
I have one other idea too to add to this, Jack, for Jalen. Before you kick it to the curb, if you want to feel really good, make sure you're making a good decision here. get the seller to email you the list. I want state, county, APN of the properties she wants to sell with the price, the rock bottom price she is willing to sell them to you for, period. And then fingers crossed, if she does it, so 2 days is going to go by, and you're doing nothing, by the way. You can just sit back and wait. We're not chasing anything shiny yet. Let her come back and see if she, and then wait till you get her numbers, and then you're gonna go. You're because what often happens in these situations too is you're gonna get, like, even right now we're all talking about it, right? So watch, in 2 days from now, you could get an email from her, and they're all like, "I want 2 million for this one. I want this." Like, she wants to reset the market because the way that she thinks this is going to unfold. So I don't even know if you guys are even on the same page. So, the last thing I'm going to do is, if she says this to you, Jalen, well, I don't know what it's worth. Make me an offer. I stop it right there. Everybody has a bottom number. I don't care what. They have a bottom number. They know how much they think it's worth to them. It may be a very low bottom number, right? And it could work out. But it could be a scary number that they know, oh, but my friend sold his property, or he heard of a guy that got $5,000 an acre over here. So mine's better. Mine's 10,000 an acre, whatever this is. So there's some number in their head. And before you even start spending any time on it, because like Jack said, you don't want to spend a year on this project and then come up for air and go, well, that was dumb, kind of thing. You gotta know what she's asking. And then for me, that makes me feel good when I get their number and I go, ha ha, and we're done talking, kind of thing. Or you might go, all right, well, maybe I'll look at it. I don't know. If she says, I'll give it to you all for $10, you know what I mean? Some crazy number, you might go, all right, maybe there's something there.
That's more time I would spend on it. Hey, it's real important. It's really, really important to understand that you need to be in control of these deals.
Yes.
And there's somebody else who's been way in control of this deal. So when you send the mail out and they call you and say, yeah, I do want to sell it for 30,000 actually. And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, I know it's worth more. I just don't want to deal with this.
Yep.
Then you're in complete control. You're just in control of the deal, and that's what you want.
Excellent.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure. Well, thank you, Joe. But going back to what you said, I actually did get on the phone with her, and tried to build that rapport as I was chasing it. The seller, she gave me a number. I have all the addresses. I was able to pull up her whole portfolio. And then she said she wanted 5.1 for everything. And that includes that whole block, and there's another set of 20 acres and another piece. So I did take care of that, and I know that she was willing to hold the note for 50% down as well too. So basically, what I was doing before I talked to you guys, I was just bringing it to people that are more experienced and know what they're doing. But it seems like everyone's busy, which I get. I mean, I'm on chapter 1. They're on chapter 15. I understand. But and I've learned that from the past as well too, to not try and wait on people. So I was bringing it to a couple people, but I haven't heard anything from anybody because everybody's busy. So
I would walk away in a
Me
heartbeat.
too. So would I.
I have no trouble walking away from this deal. I don't care if it's 5.1 and I could sell it for 8. Now I know. Now what you told me too, Jalen. Oh, if I'm lucky, this deal takes a year.
Oh, geez, no. If there's 20 acres that need to be cut up and with entitlements and stuff, that's a long, long, long haul.
I'm out.
I think it'd be way better to spend some time and get major education on how to send mail out, talk to people in Land Academy who, are 6 months ahead of you, maybe 6 years ahead of you, in some cases even more. And they'll have a bunch of advice, really solid advice about, for the first 6 months, you should do this, then you're going to do a deal, and then follow through on that.
Right.
All right, for sure. I appreciate you guys talking some sense to me. I was seeing stars. I was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm in a home run, but show my wife, she's gonna be on the same page. We're good. But now you guys put it all in perspective.
We're gonna retire. You're gonna buy that house you want. This is it, baby. We're done. So
yeah, right. I appreciate
understand. There you go. You're welcome. Where'd Michael go? I wonder if he's still here. Michael Balcom. I would say if you still want to ask a question, get back up here. But I don't know if he had to go. But we still have more time if anybody wanted to ask any more questions. This is awesome. Good discussions. And I understand, it's I see it happen often because I train this too when I tell people, and you're during your due diligence kind of is now on when the Land Academy education process, those segments are kind of going on my side of the sheet. So I talk to people a lot about doing your due diligence. And one of the questions is, okay, you have your cheat sheet. The seller calls you back. You've got 10 questions you need to ask them, not mentioning about the property and their contact information. But one of the questions I always ask is, by the way, do you have anything else you want to sell? Because you never know what nuggets are going to be in there. So you want to get that back / however, if it's too much, like Jack was saying, what's your criteria? If it's too far out of your criteria, like, a golf course, that is, you talked about, I've had golf courses come my way a lot. I don't want to own a golf course. That's the last thing I want to deal with, but I don't care if you're giving it to me for $1. I don't want your golf course. Thank you. And you mentioned the boat scenario, a marina, kind of thing. You have to know what you're doing and your focus, because if you go down that chase something shiny, all you're doing is taking time away from what you could be doing, and having a nice flow and making a lot of money doing the deals that you're going to naturally grow into bigger properties size-wise,
Yep.
bigger dollar amount properties.
Exactly, Joe.
And then eventually, Jalen, maybe this is your niche. Maybe you're doing $1 million deals a month, and in a year from now, and you're like, hey, 5.1, I got that on my checking account. Now let's see if I really want to do it. That could happen, but you definitely want to wait and decide. Most of us, we kind of get, you find your niche, and then you're like, I don't care what anybody else tells me. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm happy.
Love it, Joe. I agree completely.
Thank you. For some people here, it's not about the money. For some people here, it's about time. There's a lot of people here that are like, I just want to have a nice life. We have a lot of people in Land Academy that they're like, oh, I know I could make $100,000 a month. I know I could do this, but you know what? I'm just doing her $500,000 a month. I don't know. I'm really happy doing, a deal every couple weeks. I make 50 grand, and that's really all I need. Our house is paid off. I get to spend time with the kids, and it's really great. And then if I want to, though, if something changes too, they know how to turn it up and dial it back.
I really respect people who have that much pre-thought into something like this, and I'm not one of these people. So I'm the kind of person who says, well, we did 30 deals last month. We need to do 40 this month. And so I'll tell you what goes along with that mindset. When you send out 6 or 7 or 10,000 offers and you get back 4 or 5 properties, but your acquisition criteria is I only buy one a month and it's got to be a sure thing. So you're staring at 4 or 5 or 6 pretty solid offers for properties that you could do 4 or 5 or 6 deals, but you pick the best one after all the research. You're removing almost all the risk of not succeeding.
Exactly. I love that.
That's a really a very mature, methodical, patient way to go about this. None of which those traits I possess.
Oh, no. Truth time. Well, here you go. We just recorded all our podcasts this morning for next week. And what did we call it? The Brutal Truth Week. We didn't.
Brutal Truth Week.
Yep. So if you're really bored next week, check out the Land Academy show. So awesome. Thank you very much. Well, this has been great. I hope that you gained a lot from this and got some insight to what we do, and hopefully taught you some little bit ways that we call it trolling when you're picking an area and thinking about using data to do your due diligence before you ever start investing in an area, and just making sure you're doing it right. We want you, like Jack to subscribe. I want you to sleep really well and make good decisions. Jack does too. I have a little more control, maybe. I don't know. So, not sure about that one. And by the way, too, today is Thursday. So, on Thursdays in an hour from now, we have a closed Land Academy member call. If you want to be on this, it's a Zoom call where we review these deals and really talk about stuff. So, just so you know, if you're here in this room and you want to join us, send a note to support@landacademy.com and my team will get right back to you and get you an invite so you can sit in on our weekly member call. And it's video. We can show you the stuff that we're talking about, which is so nice. So it's video. We're on screen. You can see us, ask us stuff there. We answer, and it's about 2 hours. It's awesome, and you are welcome to join us. So thank you, Jack, for being
Thank you,
here
Jill.
too.
Thanks for having me. Good episode, good session today.
Thank you. I'm a nut. I love this stuff. It's just in my blood, and I know it's in yours. So
Yep.
thank goodness we found each other because we would be driving other people crazy.
That's happened.
Exactly. That's awesome. There we go. Cool. All right. And thank you everyone for being here. And be sure you follow us and follow the Land Investing Club here on Clubhouse, and you'll get notified when I'm live and we do talks and all kinds of other good stuff. So thank you everyone, and have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Bye-bye.